Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Jim Morris, Superintendent of the Fremont Unified School District. While we're already thinking about our school district as a community committed to learning, teachers and staff are now creating professional learning communities for the benefit of students. In these communities, teachers and administrators continuously seek and share learning opportunities to enhance their effectiveness and become better professionals. Professional learning communities center on creating a foundation of knowledge to really understand and collaborate and lead together, figure out strategies for making sure that all students are learning. Joining us today on Community Conversations to talk about professional learning communities and what that means at a school site are our Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Services, Dr. Kim Wallace, our Director of Secondary Instructional Services, Mr. James Maxwell, Principal from Harvey Green Elementary School, Ms. Kim Kelly, and finally the Principal of Thornton Junior High School, Mr. Stan Hicks. We have this eclectic group of different levels and different functions in the school district to really talk about what does it mean when we say schools are becoming on this journey of becoming professional learning communities. In a real practical sense, what does that mean? And as a parent, what would a parent need to know or want to know about that?
I think that the biggest shift probably that a parent would see is that the entire school now is really focused on learning and making sure that every single student learns. And one of the shifts that makes a PLC different from sort of the traditional school setting that we all grew up in is the idea that no one teacher can meet the needs of every student in their class, and we need to work together and build on our strengths. So from a parent's perspective, there may be more people who are contributing to their child's success and hopefully just more of a sense of community.
I think traditionally in America over the last 100 years, each teacher has worked by themselves alone in a classroom. That's much how I started my career. There was no help. And I think we see the opposite end today, especially that can reflect on the secondary schools. We got we received an email just before this meeting from an Irvington High School Social Studies department chair about the professional learning that they just did. And what they were looking at as an example, the whole social studies team at that school was looking at writing and what kind of writing they were doing in the 9th and 10th grade and how they had to prepare them for the standards that would be accepted in the 11th and 12th grade. And the only way you can do that effectively is when you have the opportunity for all teachers to work together, focus on the student learning, and take a look at what instructional strategies you can use and how to get there. And the email was very grateful to us for having, for the first time ever, the opportunity really to get together and do that kind of work, which I think will pay off for learning for their kids.
And I think just the analogy that comes to mind based on what Ms. Kelly said is, you know, really in the tradition of teaching as a profession, right? Each classroom is the teacher's castle. I mean, I think back to my days as a 8:30 the bell rings and I pull up that drawbridge and there's a moat around that room. No one comes in and no one goes out until I put down the drawbridge at the end of the day. And what I hear you saying is we're really trying to create that community where the best teachers of teachers are their colleagues. How has that changed things at Thornton?
At Thornton, well, one of the biggest changes, I want to piggyback on what you're saying, is PLCs, you have to have SMART goals, and they have to be strategic, they have to be measurable. And so teachers before used to each do their own things, and as PLCs, they all have the same goal. So this year at Thornton, our first steps were to create a vision. You have to have a vision for the school and a mission for your school. And so we've spent the last 2 years working on that mission statement and the vision, and this year we've broken it down by department. So our department has goals, measurable goals that they can reach within a year. So that's the biggest difference. It's no longer an isolated teacher doing her thing or his thing in the classroom, but as a department. and there has to be a consensus. So that's been the biggest change for us this year, is we have a vision, and it has to be reachable within a year. We're trying. So.
And I think the value in what you're talking about is really sharing those good, effective instructional practices. I know as principals, probably you visit classrooms a lot, and you go into rooms, and I see across this school district, we have some amazing teachers, and you go into some of those rooms, and you just get goosebumps seeing the incredible things that teachers do and the way that they work with students. And so this idea of helping to bridge those gaps. Now, what's the role, Dr. Wallace, that, for example, the district office plays in helping to create this environment? And then I want to hear a little bit about, what does a principal do? How can you help to make that environment where it's safe and comfortable at a school?
Well, I think everything is about walking the walk. If the district office is walking the walk as a professional learning community, that my department's working together, that we're working together with other departments and collaborating, just like we expect students to do. We have group work in classes. We expect students to learn the skills that they need to bring into college, into the workplace. We need to embody those as well and make sure that we are serving as role models. So at the district office, we're going through training ourselves. We are having coaching for our team and attending conferences and getting professional learning so that we can grow and be better at the jobs that we do, so we can support the principals who are supporting the teachers, who are supporting the students, and so on. And so we need to really model that we believe that this is the way for our district to go. We believe that this is what's best for kids, and that from every level of the organization, we're all invested in it.
I agree.
I'll say this isn't a top-down, it's everybody involved. And it's going to be different for different schools, but for us it's by department. So my role as a principal is to support. I'm not sitting in on every collaboration meeting, and the teachers have to feel secure and confident that this isn't an evaluative thing. Mm-hmm. Take risks, talk about them, try new things, what's best for the kids. And so my role is to provide the support, the professional development. It's constantly learning. And we're really starting to see some big aha moments at Thornton, because we are stepping out of the comfort zone for some teachers, but we're discussing it. It's no longer, teachers are sharing lessons, and that's a big change from past practices. So.
Yeah, I really agree with what Stan said. One of the exciting things about walking down the hall and watching a group of kids come out of a class where the Common Core standards have been really beautifully addressed is there's this energy and there's this excitement, and it comes from having kind of a combination of a tight idea of where you're going in the end, but then a very loose idea of how you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. So a class has the opportunity to have that synergy, and what Stan's talking about with staff is sort of the same thing. Mm-hmm. As a principal, to a certain degree, I think we have to know what that tight final product is going to look like, but the loose side of how each teacher is going to build on their own strengths, and each department or each grade level for me is going to build on their strengths. That's going to be different from group to group, and that's where the loose piece of it comes in.
And empowering the departments. You know, one of the first things we did is we got rid of the label department chair, and they took care. Traditionally, they took care of business, and so when we met this year, we renamed it. It's called TILT, the Thornton Instructional Leadership Team, and it's to empower everybody in the decision making and to work as a group. So it's changing a culture in a school, and that's what PLCs are. That's changing the culture. So,
well, I think you talked about, and I want to, you talked a little bit about them at the beginning, kind of these shifts in the culture of the school, and I think you hit on an important one, really empowering the teachers to say the the colleagues in your department or at your grade level or across grade levels or across departments are an incredible resource for all of us to get better at teaching. Can you talk a little bit more about some of those other shifts, and what specifically does a principal need to do to encourage that culture?
Well, I'll talk from a district office point, and so we have a little PLC of our own for the junior high school principals and high school principals. I think my job is to support them supporting each other and talking about best practices so they can talk about what's working on their site. So Stan shares that. We've done this. We've created this vision that helped change what our department chairs do so they can focus better on student learning. So from a district office point, we kind of turn and say, well, what do you need? And function to get them all together. I think also from the district office point, it's important to recognize with Common Core, we're going across one of the most fundamental changes ever in education across the United States. It's not going to be easy for our teachers. So getting them the opportunity to work together on a regular basis to talk about this and share those best practices, which I know are going on at schools like Stan's and Kim's, and that's the critical thing. And I think our job from the district office is do whatever we can to make that happen. That's my...
And from my point of view is not to rush it. I went to the PLC summit or the training, and you walked away from there energized and motivated, but we have to be careful. This isn't a program.
Right.
It's an ongoing process. And the enthusiasm's there and you want to go back, but you don't want to go so fast that you trip. So that's the hard part, because we've sent some teachers and they've come back energized, which is great, but we have to realize we need to take this slow, and it is a process.
Yeah,
So.
and if I can piggyback on that, it's exactly the point that we really want to emphasize, is that this is a framework, this is a structure, this is a process. This isn't a store-bought program that we're now purchasing for the district and we're doing it either to people or with people. It's really more of a mind shift, it's a culture shift, it's a sense of where have we been in our history in Fremont, and how can we see how we've already been acting as a professional learning community, and where do we plug in the places that we haven't formalized. And so it's really talking about the things that teachers naturally do. They talk with each other. How did your class go today? Let's brainstorm some ideas. It's creating a vocabulary that everybody's sharing. It's creating a way of communicating with each other, and we're really excited at the district level, because we do have this opportunity on August 20th with all of our district who is interested and willing and participating, is that we're bringing in the professionals, Solution Tree, who are the authors of the professional learning communities, to do a full day training at all of our sites. We're clustering some schools together in 2s and 3s, and they're going to be getting that great foundation from the actual authors of the theory or the implementation. And so we will have a common experience in the district, and what we want to do at the district level is really support and build upon that. And like Kim and Stan were saying, is not everybody will be in the same place. So we're going to foster the journey for everyone as they're walking it, and not rushing it, and letting people, we're providing the framework, and then how the details play out will be based on a site level.
And not everybody's in the same spot within the school. I mean, my science department is moving right along, and other departments are, they're still working on their vision and what they want for their goals to be. So it is a process.
Can you just close us out today, Dr. Wallace, and let us know, what's the vision a year from now? What is this school district going to look like? How is it going to be different a year from now?
Well, I think that part of it was what I was talking about earlier with the common language, so that when we say collaboration, when we say Common Core, looking at data, that everybody really knows what we're talking about in the same way, so it's not just one version somewhere and one version somewhere else, and that teachers feel supported. They feel as if the district is really committed to supporting their learning, supporting our own learning, and that we're all in this process together, and the goal is to see improved student learning, happier kids, happy parents, and people saying Fremont's the place to be.
And thank you so much. You have really laid out a beautiful vision for us, because I think we know in our school district we have incredible teachers, strong leaders at our school, and this is really about empowering the people who serve children every single day to become better at the craft of teaching and the profession of supporting all students in learning. From all of us at Community Conversations, I thank you for joining us.